Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
So there you have it.
5 hours.
What was that?
That took 5 hours apparently today.
Why? Oh, it was longer. I didn't wait. I didn't wake up for it. I guess somebody said there was going to be big news tonight or this morning, and was there some kind of weird countdown like there was for Fantastic Four or
something like that, where it was a live stream. People are just getting that. I didn't watch it. I watched it as it went long. I just kind of got the cliff notes on social
Your
media.
feedback is really bad. It's back to Did you? You must not. Did you switch back to the old computer again?
Yeah, I'm back on my PC because I just a little bit busy before I said time, unfortunately, today.
Oh Lord, here we go. Yeah, so I didn't get up for that. Somebody told me there was going to be big news dropping, and I'm like, okay, well, when I wake up, it'll be there. I don't do vague news. If you're going to say something is going on, then that's, then I'll be up. Like if you say there's a Fantastic Four trailer happening, then I'll wait up and watch it. But if you're just saying vaguely, somebody's saying vaguely, so I watched it. No surprises there. You have. There's your characters for the most part that you're going to have in there. That's pretty much everyone I think that they were released in the thing. I don't think we're missing anybody there.
Your favorite guy, is back as Gambit.
Well, they're all going to die, so it doesn't matter. They can bring them all back. Kelsey Grammer, all of these characters that are from the leftover stuff, they're not going forward with them. So I would say bring them all back. Bring them all back.
And they apparently this is not everybody. This the news wrote this is like half of the total cast, but there are more casting announcements coming.
It's too many as it is. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, how long is this movie going to be?
It's probably going to be about 3 hours long.
At least, yeah.
About 3 hours long. There's some character. There's no surprises here. I'm curious to see what Black Panther they're going to have on there because obviously I got this picture from somewhere else. I just threw it up, so this may not be 100% accurate, but as far as I know from the chairs that I read that they are there, but they didn't bring a name up for the chair. M'Baku's name was there, obviously. Falcon's name was there. Bucky, obviously, the Fantastic Four. No surprise they're going to be there. The X-Men are going to be here. I don't know what the infatuation is with every time that they show Professor X or anybody from the movie, they play that fucking cartoon song that's from that softcore children's cartoon. There was nothing children about 2000s X-Men. We've gone over before. It opens up in a concentration camp. But they threw that song in there, and that's fine. But like I said, I think I've been saying this for about a year or so, that this is going to be hello to some of the newer characters you see on here and goodbye to some of the Fox holdovers, some of the Sony stuff holdovers, because that's the purpose of Secret Wars, is to consolidate their universe to a sacred timeline. So you won't be dealing with multiple versions of the MCU after Secret Wars. That's literally the whole point of it. So
you all know, as Aaron points out.
Why? Hold on. Wait. What are we doing?
Oh, we're flicking there.
No, Wesley Snipes' name was not there. I'd say it's 50-50 that he is there.
Well, like I said, there's more people are going to be announced, so
yeah,
you'll see the, I don't know. Is there anybody that you were expecting who was not announced today, or anybody you're expecting to be among the roster that's still unfolding?
You could say Spider-Man, but I could see 50-50 him being in there. You could say somebody like Storm, Halle Berry's character.
Maybe you should say Spider-Men, because there's it's Tom Holland is obviously he's a given.
But here's the thing: the problem with that is, given all this clusterfuck that I'm looking at right now, I don't know how many characters. This is the problem I have with Avengers movies in general. Other than Avengers 2012 and first couple of movies, is they become something that is just this is why I was not a fan of Infinity War and why I wasn't a fan of Endgame, because it's just basically an encyclopedia of everything that that they've ever done, and it's like, okay, we've done that 3 or 4 times before. This is why once this is over, I'm okay with never seeing. I know it's not going to happen. I'm okay with never seeing an Avengers movie again. I am okay, because they end up like this. There's, even if these are just brief cameos, there's enough brief cameos on this screen to really clutter up a movie. But, this has been their go-to. The Avengers has been their go-to since day one. So,
do you think that there's also maybe like, there are some characters like in the larger story of the 2 movies who are being saved specifically for Secret Wars? Like they're not going to be in Doomsday, but they will be in Secret Wars, kind of like that, like how Hawkeye was saved for Endgame.
Possible. But like I said, Brie Larson, like I said, you guys, some of these characters that they've missed out, yeah, but like I said, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You basically have, you almost have 30 characters. That's a lot. That's a lot.
And by the way, with with Robert Downey Jr., I mean, like, what do you think the odds are that he might, he's going to be Doctor Doom, obviously, but there's the other big question relating to his appearance: is will we see him as Tony Stark?
Not in Doomsday. No, I think you might barely see him, if you see him at all. Would be at the end of Secret Wars, but I don't. There's no reason for him to be in the first part of it. I could see them bringing back the original crew to wrap it up at the end, but I don't see. But Loki. Now, another thing with Loki is, which Loki are we talking about? The Loki from the series who's holding, because at some point Doctor Doom is going to have to confront him in the same way that he confronted the Beyonder, because that's kind of like where Loki kind of sits now with that particular Loki. Are you showing, because I think it's going to be the Loki from the show, because it ties directly into this. Beast, you saw Beast in the end credit scene of the Marvels. So that makes sense that he's there,
if you saw the Marvels.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw it, and Fantastic Four is definitely going to be there. You have Thunderbolts riding into, they're going to be there. So yeah, there's no real surprises in here.
Neither Deadpool nor Wolverine are here, and that is a little bit curious to me.
There's not for me. There's just too many people. If they're there, they don't need to be there until Secret Wars. Remember, Doomsday is not Secret Wars.
Well, and that's why I asked. Yeah. It's like, are there characters who are part of who will be featured in the two-part story of this movie, of these two movies, but who are being kept in reserve for Secret Wars specifically?
Yeah. When I looked at Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, I'm so grateful I have Fantastic Four to look forward to. I got over this in 2019. I got over the big event, everybody involved thing. It to me, with Fantastic Four, with X-Men, with I know we're getting there. So this is just a process to get to a refined, slimmed down Marvel Cinematic Universe that just doesn't look like this. Because, like I said, this is just what we know about. We're probably going to have way more than this. But I hope that they evenly spread them to the two movies, because there's not a reason for everybody that's missing to be in Doomsday. Because basically Doomsday is going to, for all intents and purposes, is going to be a sequel to Fantastic Four. And then so on. You know what I mean? So it's not, So I understand what they're doing. It's like when I saw all those seats, I'm like, my goodness. I was thinking the list of the people was going to last 5 years long, But I don't mind any of them, because, like I said, they're all going to cease to exist. Like, you're not going to see Ian McClellan coming into the new universe as the Magneto from there. They're going to cast somebody else, Professor X, so on. These are characters that represent the alternate universes that are going to be coming together and consolidating. So it makes sense that you see some of the leftovers from Fox and Sony there, and you probably have some cameos in there, but yeah, it's gonna be curious to see. But like I said, I got that feeling that I'm like I said, I've already expressed how much I did not like Endgame. It had some really great scenes. Obviously, the Captain America scene, on your left, that final battle was epic. The whole movie for me, it was like I was just waiting to get to that, because I already knew what happens in the movie anyway. Infinity War, same thing. The last Avengers movie I really enjoyed wasn't even an Avengers movie. It was Captain America: Civil War.
Well, come on, that really is an Avenger. That's Avengers 2.5.
That's what I'm saying. It's the second best Avengers movie after the original, because Age of Ultron bored me. I actually left the theater and came back.
Really?
I don't ever leave the theater to get food and stuff. I usually get on my stuff. If I'm gonna get it, I get ready, I get set, and I do all the things I need. I actually got up and in the middle of Avengers Age of Ultron and left, because it bored me. And like I said, the original Avengers is one of the second most important comic book movie ever made, in my opinion. I love that movie. I love, but as this has gotten bigger, this is why I wish they would have started this in 2021, the refinement of the universe, because like I said, look at all this. This is a lot. And even with a 3-hour movie, You do the math; it's a lot. But you know what, Russo brothers,
Well,
they make it work.
Well, because they probably, I'd imagine they've been planning this as 21. And the thing about it is, like, the impact of COVID, I do anything that was in development, I tend to, like, comp them a year as far as, like, development delays. So that.
Oh, I'm not even worried about the delay. I did well, no, because no matter when we started, we're gonna have to go through this cluster of just every MCU character that's ever existed in shoved into 3 hours of movies. And like I said, what I did not like. Now, here's the thing though that gives it an edge over those two movies is that we're headed to a refinement. We're headed to, like I said, Doctor Doom, Loki, they're gonna battle, and some of these universes are gonna get pruned. The TVA, I think, is gonna play a big role in all of this. And I think a lot of these people and their realities are going to get pruned. And it's going to be a fight versus realities getting pruned and realities being consolidated and saved. And Loki, whoever is working with Loki or fighting for Team Loki is going to be, the ones that are trying to save as many as possible. And Doom is probably using them to consolidate them to become some kind of god. So you'll have villains and stuff like, fighting on his side, I think it's going to be. But I think most of these people on the screen, in fact, all the holdovers, I think all of them are either going to get killed, which is going to be cool if you get them to die heroically, but they're not really dead because they will have, once the consolidation is done, they will have never existed in this MCU. See what I mean? So if Beast dies in this world and, Loki dies, any of these people die in this world, once it's reconsolidated, they would have never existed anyway. So they really didn't die. So you can shed a Marvel cinematic fake comic book death tier, but not a real one. And then I think it's going to be left over to whatever new Avengers you have. If you have a Captain America, if you have a new Iron Man, I think they may wait. Who knows? I think they're going to start the building blocks here with the new X-Men. I don't think any of these X-Men are going to be held over. I think you'll get a new Magneto. I think you'll get a new Professor X.
So Professor X is going to die for the fourth time, basically. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man. Poor Xavier.
And Gambit's dead. As a matter of fact, they should in Vegas, they should open up odds. It's going to be like your Suicide Squad. At what point do these characters heroically die or get consolidated? So, and I think Fantastic Four is going to this is just me. I think Fantastic Four is going to set the stage for what happens for the rest of the way. I'm 100% certain that Dr. Doom is there, and that Galactus is a threat, but Doom is the primary villain, and he's going to be so throughout the next 2 or 3 years, which is I'm all right with.
The other thing with this too is that it seems like they've pretty much excised any plans they had for Kang initially.
Not necessarily. Not without seeing a script, not necessarily, because he's still relevant. He's still there, unless you show like they showed in Loki 2 season 2 how he kind of didn't exist, but they didn't really. You know what I mean? So I think Kang could still be involved. I don't know to what degree though. I don't know what to agree. You could see him come back because once Doom starts tinkering with the universes, he may undo some of what Loki did to take the place of Kang. So, without seeing the script, I wouldn't count Kang out. All right, so there you go. You guys go. This is, like I said, this is a little bit easier to stomach for me because I know we're getting to where I want to be when it comes to this particular universe, and that's refined it down to the what I consider to be the 3 pillars going forward: Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. That doesn't mean we don't have Avengers and all that, but as far as the focus, I would like to see the focus refined to a smaller group and have it grow from that point. How you doing, Ray? I would like to see it refined because I think it's gotten too bloated. And I think it's gotten to the point where you're flirting with mediocrity. And I know you don't want to see that. Like I said, there are such a high percentage of rogues gallery that come from just those 3 pillars I mentioned. I mean, between X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man, that's a lot of movie making right there. So I hope the pruning begins immediately. In fact, I would like to see some of these realities pruned in Fantastic Four. And I think Fantastic Four's original reality is going to get pruned, and they're going to have to flee, and that's how they end up in ours. And then it's going to be like a crisis situation to where you have Doctor Doom basically being the anti-monitor. He instead of absorbing the Beyonder's powers, he's trying to turn realities into power, and so that's how I think this is going to end. And I think it's going to end with a new Victor Von Doom. I don't think you're going to have Robert Downey Jr. post Secret Wars as being Doctor Doom. But I'm looking forward to how they explain it, though. How they explain that is Tony Stark looking dude is going to be.
There's one theory I saw kind of floating around that kind of accounts for RDJ playing Doctor Doom. And it kind of ties into Deadpool and Wolverine, is the idea that after Tony Stark's sacrifice in Endgame, that leaves the MCU without their anchor being, and the Avengers try to pull RDJ from another universe into the MCU because he's
Yeah, I've heard about that. I don't believe in the anchor being theory at all. I don't believe in that.
I think that's like going to be that's going to be shown as like not like that's like basically that was all a lie in Deadpool and Wolverine.
No, I just don't think it necessarily applies to what they're doing in Doomsday. You see what I mean? Because that doesn't. There's no connection there. They've said that, but I've never seen any direct connection. I think Doom does something. Why call him Doom? Dr. Doom, Dr. Victor Von Doom. I think Dr. Doom does something to his native universe that causes it to destabilize and causes them to have to flee to what we know as the MCU. And I think Galactus is part of it. I don't know how much, but I don't think could be wrong. But as I see it, I'll say as I see it, I don't see the anchor being in Doom being anything going forward as far as how Doom gets there. I think he gets there on his own. I think he develops a means, or through Galactus somehow develops a means to traverse universes, and that's how he's going to realize that Loki is the one holding this all together. And I think you might see him attack Loki, or try to attack Loki, and Loki, that benevolent Loki that we saw in the second season, is going to have to reach out to individuals across all these spectrums to fight for their universes, because this crazy man is coming to consume them. So I think it's going to be something like that. Once again, guys, could be 100% wrong. This is just my geekology seeping through. So there you go. That's what so it could be completely different, but that's where I'm at. Hello, William and Brad. Feige could have thrown us a bone by including Jessica. He may. Like I said, I don't think this is everybody. This is too many, but I don't think it's everybody. But then again, you could see Jessica Alba on the screen for 2 seconds and you get a clap out of it. It doesn't have to. They don't have to be on the screen. And what I'm hoping for is that with all this, there are certain people that are primary people and other ones that are on there just as a, memorabilia type of situation, because
Saber Tuesday just show up to get killed.
Yeah, like Gambit. I have no use for Gambit other than to show up and get killed again, because they died in these other universes. These aren't the same ones you saw in Deadpool Wolverine, because remember that universe was ate up. But I do think like Shang-Chi is going to be there. Loki, I think, is going to be from like I said, the TV show, which, by the way, I love that show. Fantastic Four are going to be the main one, because I think at the end of Fantastic Four, it's going to be like Captain America, where they're going to escape their universe and they're going to end up in the 616. Thunderbolts are going to be primary. I think Thunderbolts are going to be around for a while. Black Panther, the curious one, like I said, I don't know if this image is 100% correct. If they've recast the Black Panther, are we going to see this Black Panther going forward, or is this is this just going to be him in a mask and he never takes off the mask, but it's T'Challa? I don't know enough about the script. And Bob, you know what? It's going to be hard for me to stay away, because I really want to be wowed. I want to be surprised. Mystique, original OG Mystique is in there. So yeah, it's you like I said, I guarantee you that what we're looking at and what was named on those chairs is not. Yeah.
I'd be, and you're talking. I mean, since this is a multiverse movie, I mean, you could have, again, have multiple iterations of like these. I mean, like different characters. I mean, you could have Channing Tatum's Gambit and Taylor Kitsch's Gambit like actually meet, or actually both appear. Listen, say what you will about Wolverine Origins. I like Taylor Kitsch's Gambit.
Yeah. I hope going forward, be honest with you, Gambit's not a character that I'm a big fan of seeing at the very beginning. But what they did what they did with the original X-Men back when Fox had him, and then when he was supposed to get it, they just grabbed the most popular X-Men at the time. But here's the thing: that's not necessarily always going to be the best story. It worked in 2000. Don't get me wrong; it worked all the way up until the end of the Fox movies, for the most part, with some failures, but not really. But the storytelling apparatus is different these days. The way Kevin Feige has built his universe, he starts from, like I said, you're going to get the beginning of the Fantastic Four. You got the beginning of the Avengers. There are characters where you don't get origin stories, or you built up, but like a Spider-Man where you don't need one. He's solo. But all your team stuff, your Thunder, things like that, he has a beginning arc for these, and it generally starts with those people that were in the, like I said, you look at how he did the Avengers. He literally, how that movie rolls out and how those characters rolls out, there was literally the order of appearance of the way the Avengers, with the exception of Black Widow, who wasn't there, and Captain America, who's not there until Avengers #4. But for the most part, it was Loki was the main villain. It was Hulk he was in control of, and he used that as a basis. So I don't see them going for those characters. I see some of those characters being there, but I'm really expecting for him to start with the original X-Men. All right. Hello. How you doing, Aaron? Hi, William and Brad. What are your thoughts on the latest reports? Kevin Feige is a bit worried. I think this is bullshit. Russo brothers after bombing Electro State. For one, you can't bomb on streaming. Here's the thing that, like I said, this is the whole, people haven't wrapped their heads around what streaming is, as far as what's a failure or a success for, like if you just spent $320 and you had a box office situation like that, maybe. But when you're talking about Netflix, they don't count their wins and losses like, a standard box office of theater does. They have other metrics. So Kevin Feige's going to know that, because Kevin Feige's not a fanboy, and B, I don't think it has any bearing on what he does within. Because remember, Kevin Feige's only going to be concerned about what they do within his structure. So it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as his relationship with the Russos, I mean, they made what was for a time the biggest movie of all time. So, I mean, that's, what they're yeah, Aaron, I know, I thought the same thing too. What their kind of choppier waters they've been in post Endgame. I mean, it's like, that's not, it's not like that's an apples and oranges thing as far as like their Marvel work. So I don't think he's like second guessing them too much as far as like what they're doing in the MCU.
Plus, like I said, we don't even know. We're judging Electric State on metrics that don't matter to Netflix necessarily. So we don't even know. How can I call that a failure when I don't know what Netflix's goals were? They spend a lot of money on stuff, and it's not money. It's not a dollar for dollar thing for them like it has to be in a box office. The Irishman cost them $400-something million or whatever like that. So there's different metrics that a streamer is going to do it on. So I don't even know if it's a success or not. Campio's video on the announcement was funny. A reveal every 12 minutes. I did not watch it. I will watch it. I saw the title of his video saying that how they did the reveal in the dumbest way possible, or something like that.
Yeah, well, because they apparently elongated this over like the course of several. Because I wasn't like, I mean, I was doing usual shit today, so there's so I didn't like watch it like the live stream. I just like looked at my phone periodically and said, okay, this he's coming back, she's coming back, they're in it, okay, cool.
Okay, if that's Shuri, then yeah, I'm glad this universe is ending then, if that's the case. Hello, Captain Charisma.
Well, that is her Black Panther mask.
That's that is hers. Yeah. Oh yeah, Letitia White. Yep, I heard her name's on one of the chairs. I listen, as you guys know, I think the world of the original Black Panther. I really didn't like what they did with this for obvious reason. Movies are not funerals. roles are not the people that are in them in this particular situation. And so I think this is going to be a good opportunity to give us T'Challa back because, like I said, I don't watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever anymore. You know, I mean, I know the only thing for me to watch that in is Angela Bassett's performance, where she should have won the Academy Award. But I really, the more I think about it, the more I try to get into that movie just to take, to look at it every now and then because I look at. Sometimes I do rewatches and stuff like that. I can't rewatch that movie anymore. I don't want to watch a funeral. When I go to a movie to be entertained, I don't want to go to a funeral.
I haven't seen it since it came out.
Yeah,
I saw it in the theater. Yeah,
that's it for me. The surprise. Well, like I said, we don't know. Right now, this is just so far, but they're not going to name everybody. This was too many. So, but I do think you're going to see Halle Berry and Famke Janssen.
Yeah, it's imagine so. Well, apparently, Fourth has theories too, like the cavalry might show up. And I kind of doubt that.
I don't think that.
It'd be cool to like quick cameo, but I mean, he's not going to be like he's not going to be like fighting alongside them in it.
There's going to be you're not going to see the stuff that they do in Deadpool and MCU standard. They let him do that there, but I don't see you're gonna see a lot of stuff that they do. You might see some characters. You're gonna see Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds is not on his list, but I think he's gonna be there. I don't think he's gonna be there a lot, but I think he'll be. You give him a couple minutes, But I'm hoping that the core characters, the core Avengers, are what take up the movie.
Yeah, Aaron agrees with you on Black Panther.
Yeah, they're not awake, and I really am disappointed.
And that's what that movie felt like. That's the exact word I used when I saw Wakanda Forever. It's like this movie felt like awake, and especially like coming off of it was the first MCU movie post Thor: Love and Thunder, and just the tone is just so night and day between those two, and so that just made it even more jarring. But yeah, it's like that movie feels like awake, and it's it just suffered so much from like I mean, just in hindsight. I think more and more people are kind of coming around to the idea of like, yeah, recasting T'Challa would have made for a much better homage to what the first movie did.
I don't know if Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be there. You definitely won't see necessarily that version because remember, there's a new version after Guardians 3. But once again, I just don't know how much more you want to add to this movie. This is going to be a 3-hour movie.
I mean, it might be a 4-hour movie, or Secret Wars might be a 4-hour movie. And it kind of makes me even wonder. It's like maybe they should if you're talking about like the whole like breaking down the universe, and I mean, it might like work better over the course of a trilogy.
It could. Well, as far as I know, it's Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, but who knows? You might get more announced this summer as well. But yeah, there's a lot of people in this movie. I'm hoping the story is strong. I am more, like I said, I'm not giddy about, Avengers movies anymore. That's where my excitement, that's why I'm so excited that we're getting Fantastic Four. And I hope out of this, we get a proper X-Men that tells each story from the beginning. And because people say you don't need an origin story for everybody. You do need one for the X-Men because their fight and their plight is part of that origin. So I hope that they start it there. If you want to sprinkle mutants throughout, that will eventually become X-Men. That's fine, but I want to see how they start. I want to see Magneto. I want to see his frame of mind from day one. When he first, because I want to see that evolution. So by the time we get to where you have members of that weren't X-Men until 25 years later as part of the team, there's at least an evolution to the core story. No, I thought that was fucking silly. That's just me. You're using a cartoon. And when we watched X-Men, right? We watched X-Men a few weeks back.
You're talking about the first movie.
The movie. I don't recall seeing Patrick Stewart or any of those people using that theme.
Well,
did I miss something?
Well, it took a little bit because the X-Men, the movies are interesting because they took a little while. You go back and watch them, they kind of played around with a few different sort of orchestral themes over the course, and then they kind of settled on the one from X2, which I think was the smartest choice because that is really, that's the theme you think of when you think of the X-Men movies was the X2 theme, and they brought it back for Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, and it really is the one cinematically that is kind of been most associated with X-Men.
when I see Patrick Stewart as Professor X, I don't think of that. I'm like, why did they did that in Multiverse of Madness too? And I'm like,
just to kill him too.
Just to kill him, which was just that whole movie.
I'm sorry. I actually dug Multiverse of Madness quite a lot.
That movie was unedited. I mean, it was like something. It was like somebody took Sam Raimi's movie and threw it up against the wall and just splattered it. And then at some point, you have to like sift through what they did to find a Sam Raimi movie. But the stupid deaths were a waste of my time. The cameos were a waste of my time. Just bring in.
That was just trolling. That was John Krasinski. That was trolling. Where it's like he's Mr. Fantastic, and we're to turn him into noodles.
And the whole Black Bolt thing was stupid. Yeah, there were more stupid things about that movie than there were good. And I rented out a theater so I paid some heavy money to rent out, and I was sorely disappointed with that movie, but it made its money. But yeah, no, I don't want to see. No, that was a cartoon theme. What are you talking about, Agile?
Yeah, it was the X-Men animated series theme, Droga.
Yeah, why do you think he would approach to me?
Yeah, well, this is interesting too because this thought has occurred to me.
I am. Congratulations, Charlie Cart. Charlie Cart. The best thing that they could do for Daredevil, to be honest with you, is keep him as far away from this movie as possible.
So you don't think Daredevil's going to appear in this or Secret Wars?
I don't.
But so you think he's going to be like a carryover into the consolidated, streamlined universe? Okay.
But there's no reason for him to be here.
Well, he fights. He fights for Hell's Kitchen. He's a street level hero. He's he's a crime fighter. He's not typically going up against galactic level threats.
Yeah, because I was looking at it I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
I think this. Hold on for a second.
No, yeah, I've seen people kind of theorize this might be like kind of a de facto X-Men versus Avengers movie. So yeah, it might be. Oh yeah, Drogo, I'm with you there because I watched Spider-Man the animated series in the 90s. That really was I already loved Spider-Man, but I wasn't like when I first got into comics and into superheroes. I was like 4 or 5 years old. I was primarily a DC guy, like Spider-Man and a little bit of Wolverine. They were my only Marvel characters at that point. Spider-Man the animated series really was my intro to Marvel. It's the larger Marvel because they crossed over with the X-Men animated series. They brought in Blade. They brought in Daredevil. They brought in Punisher. Who else did they have on? They had Captain America on. They had I think they had Fantastic Four on. So yeah, that was my intro to the larger Marvel universe, the Spider-Man animated series.
Ugh, wow. You know what? I have to settle the acids in my stomach down when I hear that because because it's just not how I came through. But I have to appreciate the fact that you guys came in at a different time, and it's just really weird for me because these characters, seeing these characters, in those formats is why I try to put out as much information as I can, both in person and on this show, to try to reconnect you to the actual characters, because like I said, Daredevil, I really don't have to for the most part. They've done it. They've kind of fumbled certain characters, but and whenever I get somebody into the story and they bring up that animated anything was their intro to a character.
I mentioned that when you stepped away is again, when I first got into superheroes as a kid and reading comics as a kid, I was 4 or 5 years old. I was mostly a DC kid. It was really only Spider-Man and a little bit with Wolverine. That was the only Marvel characters I was enamored with at that age. And like Spider-Man the animated series, again, because they had so many guest stars and the crossover with X-Men the animated series, that introduced me to the Marvel universe writ large. So that was kind of how I discovered Marvel characters other than Spidey and Wolverine.
Wow. Now to me it's not you got here how you got here. It's just like I actually got introduced to some of these characters through sillier means. But I think the problem I have with the generation that came in with the cartoons is they expect that for going forward in other formats. That's where I think that's where the clash I have. I saw Batman for the first time when I was like 4 or 5 years old, Adam West was playing him. That was cool when I was a kid. But I would never try to impress those expectations on to a grown man's version of Batman. X-Men to me, my introduction to X-Men was Chris Claremont. So there's no issues there. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
William is like his comic book street preachers. You can count the gospel to the masses.
Once again, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, right? I grew up with that softcore.
Firestar. She was created for that show, wasn't she?
She was created to replace Human Torch. All right. Kid me loved it, right? Kid me loved it. Just sat in front Saturday morning, Adult me looks back and it's kind of horrible. But kid me loved it. Here's the thing. Grown-ass me would never say, well, that's the definitive that. And how come they don't do it like the cartoon? I would rather kick myself in my own forehead than do that. Because what was appropriate when you're sitting in front of a TV in diapers is not necessarily the imprint that should be on the character going forward, because they altered those characters to make them soft and chewable for the kids that they were marketing to. That's fine. I grew up with Super Friends. Kid me was like, fuck, this is cool. Marvin with his bell bottoms and, Wonder Twins and all that cheesy stuff, right? Grown ass me literally would propel vomit across the room rather than have that impressed on the permanent adult structure. And so the problem I have, like I said, it's one thing if that's what you grew up with, that's cool. But to try to like enforce those expectations and like I said, I think Batman suffered a lot with that. That's why when we got to Ben Affleck's Batman, we had, well, he doesn't do that. And I'm like, where do you get that? Where did you get that? Well, in the cartoon, stop talking. You're bringing that kid shit into a grown conversation. Problem number 1, 2, and 3. Congratulations for you having that as a kid. We're not kids, me and you. We're adults. So let's have an adult conversation and keep the softcore one in your childhood. That's all I'm saying. And I know I'm going to get heat for that, but I don't give a fuck. Just before you guys send the messages to my inbox and tag me and all the silly shit that you're going to tag me, I don't care. All right, who's next?
All right, who knows? A lot of. Yeah. I remember that theme song very well, Droga, because that was Aerosmith. It was Aerosmith. Yeah, it did that. So yeah, that intro just. I mean, as soon as every episode started, just that thwip and that web came down and the hard rock cut kicked in. Yeah, that's like I was amped up, and I was during
that came from the 1960s show, right?
Yeah. But the theme with the lyrics were different, so that show had its own theme. But again, it was a great way to start. Again, talk about a Spider-Man show. That's a great, first image, and the webs come down, and yeah.
Like I said, we had some pretty cheesy shit as kids. Nicholas Hammond's Spider-Man wasn't the best. It wasn't the best, but that was cool for Kid William. Kid William, that's all Kid William had.
Well, you had nothing else to compare it to when it came to Spider-Man in live action.
I require different things. The same reason I don't let childhood cartoons frame the way I see modern comic book movies is the same reason I don't eat baby food anymore. I outgrew it. I can chew my food now. I don't need underoos anymore. I put on grown man's pants. Like I said, if that's what you enjoyed as a kid, no problem. But I think there's too much. Well, the definitive so-and-so is some cartoon. I just want to teleport you to the sun and have you stand there for the seconds that it would last. That's what I want to do when I hear that. Who would play Dr. Doom after RJ? I don't know. That's years down. That might be 4 or 5 years down the line. The main multiversal Avengers will be the top, like Hugh, Wolverine, Cat Rogers. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna spend that much time on anything but killing those people. Because most of these people, like I said, you're not carrying most of, the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four, those characters I think are being carried over. I don't think the leftovers from the previous studios, I don't think you're gonna see those a lot. it's cool now because it's a goodbye. But now you're gonna, other people are gonna be writing these stories and building this new universe, and I don't know if it's fair for them to inherit this after you've gone through all this work to blow it up, because that's what you're doing. You're blowing this universe up. That's just my speculation on Captain Charisma. Where is She-Hulk? Put her in there with the rest of them to get killed? Nah, I'm not saying she won't be there. By the way, like I said, there's so many characters on. Oh my god,
that's why I think this might actually end up being a 4-hour movie, like both of them.
Oh my god, I don't know if I'm hanging around. I can't do that again. Most likely, Doom is orchestrating the MCU heroes to fight against the. Oh wow, that's complicated.
Well, yeah, because I've seen this theory actually kind of circulate a bit today, where there's some speculation this might be kind of a rough adaptation of Avengers versus X-Men.
Why would they do that?
Well, I guess I'm not saying it's like I'm settling on that theory. I'm just saying I've seen this float around that might be somewhat of a template for it.
With all due respect, RJ, and anybody who's I that makes no sense to me, simply because of his goal. Most likely, Doom is orchestrating the MCU heroes to fight against the Fox X-Men to distract them from his ultimate goal, infiltrating to get to Loki. He doesn't have to infiltrate to TVA to get to Loki. There's other ways to get to Loki. I mean, he could literally be consolidating a universe and using that to break into where Loki's at. There's a lot of ways he could get to Loki without the TVA. I mean, he wouldn't have to fight. He wouldn't have to fight any of them to get there. I'm gonna go like this. That's a valid. I guess. I mean, we don't know the script, so any of it. I'm thinking that he's going to recruit people from other universes and use the threat of their universes being consolidated, and only you can save them, but you have to fight the Fantastic Four MCU. I don't know. I mean, this is valid, but I doubt it.
Oh, Aaron says, I feel yeah, I could see that.
Well, I needed an intermission now, just looking at it. So yeah.
Well, like I said, it's like I feel like this and Secret Wars. I mean, again, a cast this large, and we've already seen, Endgame is their first 3-hour movie. I mean, they might. I could see either one or both. I could see them going for 4. I could really.
Doctor Strange is already in there.
Oh, he's told. Yeah.
He's already said.
Yeah, there is no possible way they're making this Doctor Strange.
His theory is sort of similar to mine. Well, there's going to be a fight, and I think Doom is going to manipulate people, but I think it's going to be different people getting manipulated. But once again, I have nothing but geek theory to go on. So do not go to the betting table and bet your house on what I'm telling you. So.
Oh, Captain Chris, they didn't adapt Age of Ultron at all. They just used the title. That's all.
Yeah, that might be. I don't know if that's my least favorite movie or not.
It's definitely. Well, I actually had a piece go up about a month or so ago where I talked about it's like there are certain aspects of it that kind of make it awkward for me to watch, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Marvel teased that this is the full cast on Instagram. THR, oh, my favorite. Said they're holding on to some cast announcement for another bit, probably Comic-Con. I think even at Comic-Con, which I will be there, I don't think they're going to get all the announcements there either. I think they're going to save some surprises. I mean, have some fun with it. But who knows?
Well, yeah, I mean, they should save some surprises for when we're actually seeing the movie. I mean, come on. I mean, they say that. I was about to say with No Way Home, they say they didn't save surprises with No Way Home, but it's like they kept it. It's still like it had the veneer of like it still had the equivalent to a surprise in terms of like the reaction that Toby and Andrew shown up, and that's, I mean, for me personally, No Way Home is my all-time MCU number one. So that for anything.
Wow.
No, yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, it's up there for me, but it's like it's in the top 10, but it's like
it was Spidey like taking his spotlight in the MCU properly, and it was just the ultimate, just love letter this franchise could do to Marvel.
It's the best Spider-Man movie, but it's not for me. It's all to it's not. It barely breaks the top 10.
For me, it's my so anything they do in the MCU does just generally and certainly like multiverse wise, it's like for me, my bar for that is No Way Home.
I don't want to see them revisit that again, though, because I think once it's special, but second, third time, I think you can kind of like clutter things up here. Howard the Duck will obviously, there's a Howard the Duck in the MCU, and to be honest with you, with the Man Thing and Werewolf by Night, the fact that we didn't, if they do another one of those specials and Howard the Duck is not there, that would be weird because Howard he exists. We've seen him in this version of the MCU.
Well, if you look closely in the
he's in Endgame,
in the end battle, and I mean you have to kind of like
hilarious.
Yeah, you have to kind of like pause it just the right time to see him because you got
he's right there.
Freaking
I blew it up.
Yeah,
I blew it up and put it on a button. I'm like, Howard, you will get your redemption from that awful what. And then you know what? They should have Deadpool killing Howard the Duck in 1886. My guess is the Fantastic Four will leave their world and chase out. Okay, so we're kind of on the same page. I think Doom is going to destroy their world. I think Doom is going to destroy their world, and that's why they all have to end up in the MCU because they sense that something is wrong and about to do something. Yeah, I think something's going to go down like Galactus. I think with something how I don't know how it's going to go down, but obviously we know Galactus is there, Doom is there. I think theirs is going to be the Fantastic Four world is going to be the first one wiped out of existence, and I do agree with you that the Fantastic Four will be the first to know what's actually going down because Reed Richards will figure it out, and he's going to have. And when you see him in Avengers, it's going to be him making his case of what you guys have to do, what's going wrong, something to that effect. But like I said, I think they'll be there, but there really isn't not the ones you remember though.
Yeah,
remember they broke up the team.
Yeah, I mean that was goodbye. The end of the Guardians 3.
Yeah, I think Blade will be there, and I think it'll be him. I think you'll see the new Blade. I think you'll see Mahershala Ali. This Blade is going to be there to die, though, just like all these other Flash characters.
So it literally takes the MCU as we know it ending for Mahershala Ali's movie to finally happen.
Well, it was this Blade was never going to happen until Kevin Feige wanted it to happen. It's not happening too late. It's not, it's not taking forever.
I mean, that would be like
as long as Kevin Feige wants to get.
I mean,
it.
that just would be really kind of interesting,
hilarious.
Like a capstone of this. Like it got announced and eventually got made, but like we had to close the book on the MCU as it has existed to this point for Blade to finally get off the ground.
But I think the way they began Mahershala Ali's Blade was poorly. It was an ill-conceived plan.
That's still, by the way, you look at his Wikipedia page. That's still his picture on his Wikipedia page. Is the Comic-Con announcement? That's got a sting looking at that for him.
Not really, because I think if you're sitting down with Kevin Feige and he's explaining to you this is what I want to do, and you're talking to the most successful producer of all time, he's probably convincing. I think they're okay with that. I think the internet panics more over Blade than actual people involved do. All right, I'm going down. I'm going to try to answer as many as possible because I've already said my piece. The current report is that Spider-Man isn't in this movie because story reasons, which makes sense. Spider-Man 4 is supposed to be set running concurrently. They're saving Spidey for Secret Wars. That makes sense. Then the whole black costume thing or whatever. It's not a cohesive movie. It has some elements in it that are cool, but there's just not enough to hold up the movie. That's all. It ain't Howard the Duck, but it's not the top tier of X-Men either.
It gave Scott Adkins a good boost in his early career, doubling for Weapon 11. So I will always credit for that.
Same here, Music Man. I'm not a big Gambit a fan of Gambit in the comic books. I thought he was a stupid character in the comics. I'm not a big fan of Gambit, but I think I just need to read some stories. Coming from somebody who's been reading the character for a long time, I think he sucks. But hey, everybody's different. You may like him. I can't even point you to any good stories where I think you would like him better because I hate him in all of them. So that's just me, though. All comic book geeks are different. Just remember. And that Chris Pratt isn't in Doomsday due to scheduling conflicts. Yeah, and we got plenty of time for these. We're talking about a story that we're just entering production of this movie. That's going to take a while. So this movie doesn't come out to what, 2026, 2027? Is that it? 20 or 26? Let's say 26, right? So you're going to have a year in between that, and you're talking, dude, we're rolling into the 2030s with this story. So we got time. How can I hate Gambit? Easy. And hearing, dude, I got to hear that accent again. That I know it was purposely horrible, but I don't want to hear that accent ever again. I remember sitting in the we were in San Diego, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh my goodness, he took the extra effort to make that horrible.
I DM'd William that night after because we both seen it independently that Thursday night. I asked like, what were your thoughts on like all the your different cameo comebacks, and he said, yeah. Yeah, I liked them all except for that one. And he didn't specify which one, and I knew which one he was talking about.
Oh my! He looked as ridiculous as he did in the comics. He sounds as ridiculous that I've ever heard him. And like I said, I've always hated that character. Yeah, I can hate Gambit really easy. There's a lot of lame ass comic book characters that are around. Gambit's in my top 10. Trust me. For me, the post credit, yep, that would be cool. Cast Calvary as Doomsday. You know what? I would have no problem with casting Henry Cavill as Dr. Doom, but then again, you're hiding a MILF magnet. You want to put a steel trap over his face, man? The MILFs will riot. I haven't seen it yet. I do want to see it though because it looks kind of cool.
I would mean to give it a look. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. I mean, as far as like movies this weekend, my main focus is Working Man.
Look at this. I mean, between one person says they thought it was boring, and then another person said it's a great song. So that's what these opinions are, guys. That's why it's cool because, like I said, what I say on this show, I am not here to change your mind. These are my opinions and my opinion alone. You're gonna have people, like I said, I know I can feel the heat in the DMs already. Why do you hate cartoons? I don't hate cartoons. I grew up with cartoons. I hate the influence that they've had. Overabundant influence they've had on certain characters. Batman is the prime example of why you leave that shit in your childhood. That's just me, though. It's me. I try and change your mind. But I will be watching The Electric Shade. That's a character they've always both had accents. Yeah, but man, it's oh my god.
Yeah, but no, come on. It's like no, I mean, I was not as perturbed as William was, but even you can't watch that Gambit appearance as Deadpool Wolverine and not think, he was either he was told or he elected to, or they was mutually agreed upon. Yeah, you're gonna dial up this Cajun accent to be like a caricature on top of a caricature.
Yeah, because it was bad. See, I'm glad I missed this thing. I would have been after the Fantastic Four thing where I had to sit through Redstone Arsenal, a place I've been, and I recognize. I'm like, I don't need to see. I spent 3 months at Redstone Arsenal. I didn't need to spend another hour. And especially when I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And granted, I felt bad for those people who were, they set their alarm. And you set your alarm for 4 o'clock and all you saw was Redstone Arsenal for an hour. So yeah, they need to refine this. Let's tighten this up, Marvel. Damn. I don't think Channing Tatum is a bad art. Actually, I just think that was a horrible character. Let's see. No, it's Letitia Wright as Black Panther. Yeah, so that needs to be the end of that, by the way. And I do think once they consolidate the universe, I do think that's the way they're going to recast him.
Yeah,
which is fine with me. As long as you do it, as long as the next time after all this, I see Black Panther is T'Challa, Castaway. You might once again. Okay, everybody who's saying that they're missing you may see these. This is just a little, this is to get you
again.
Going
There are casting, and it's been made clear there are casting announcements forthcoming. This was setting the table, and apparently it's a big ass table.
Yeah, and there's too many to begin with. This is not a table. This is a runway. We need more X-Men, but here's not enough of them. There's Rogue, Iceman, Quicksilver. You might see them.
This is that table in Batman '89. With Bruce Wayne, Vicky. Can you pass the salt?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make the mistake with the Beyonder. I think that's what they're bypassing the Beyonder, and I think because Loki is there, I think because I don't think they're telling a complete 2015 Secret Wars. I think there's going to be an amalgam of the original Secret Wars and what it is. So I think they're going to take loose elements of it, and I think it's going to work. But I don't think you'll see the Beyonder. The Beyonder, speaking of top 10 lame characters, man, the Beyonder is hovering there. Oh my God. 12-year-old me, painful to read. I'm like, come on, guys. You can't be more creative. Oh, a guy who can do everything. And, and then his origin kept changing and he's a cosmic cube. Then the molecule came out. I'm like, oh, this is painful. I hope Russo brothers, Kevin Feige, if you're watching, I hope you've decided that we're never going to see a Beyonder. I think he would be as lame on screen as he is in the comics, and I don't think you can say that. You have everything you need to tell a secret, sir. Don't do that. Well, I think you're going to see them all. I think you're going to see Halle Berry. I think you're going to see Hugh Jackman. But like I said, this is a cool thing, though, because, listen, we know from topics we're just not going to bring up tonight that you don't always get to say goodbye to your favorite iterations of characters, right? You guys,
yeah. In fact, it's a topic I'm deliberately not bringing up as much as I want to because I want to focus on this.
Don't feel bad for Charlie. He congratulate him for not being in this club.
Because, like William said earlier, he thinks he's going to be one of the carryovers into the post Secret Wars universe.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I wanted to be a fan.
I'm sorry, I dug it.
Yeah, when you pay to rent out a theater for that, thinking you're going to have the same buzz and excitement and quality as No Way Home, and you get that movie, I was sorely disappointed.
I actually got to interview with Xochitl Gomez right when it was coming on Blu-ray, where she plays America Chavez in it.
Yeah, vomit. It makes me want to vomit, Droga, but I don't want to harm anybody. I just hate that. Williams rotary phone. Do you know what? I was a kid. I used to one. They were on rotary phones were on their way out when I was a kid.
Do you know
we had one?
Do you know how many kids in the dojo? When my assistant coaching life in my martial arts school, do you know how many 8 to 10-year-olds I'm seeing with smartphones now and with tablets now?
Yeah,
these kids.
If I have a kid, I am going to limit that. I want them to use modern technology and everything else, but man, it
makes me feel old
so much.
It makes me feel old. Well,
how I feel.
Well, I joke around with them when I say it's like I didn't have a cell phone when I was your age, kids, and if I had, it would have been this big. Well, if I ever have kids, I mean, the big thing I'm going to probably limit them on is like any kids I ever have, they are not going to be on social media earlier than the age of like 15.
Yeah, and there's just ways, and like I said, and if you give them other options to do it their time, it'll be okay. All right, Spider-Man isn't a grimdark character. Says who? He himself is not grim and dark, but he has gone through some stuff. Dude, we reviewed Kraven's Last Hunt. Go read that. Go read the Sin Eater saga. Go read some of the things that he's gone through, especially in the 90s, before things went off the rail with all the comic books. But before the Clone Saga was bad, it was really good and it was dark. He wasn't dark, but he was going through some dark stuff. Spider-Man has always been put in those situations. Dude, he almost killed a guy. And if Daredevil hadn't broken it up, that's where Spider-Man can go. And they've always, throughout the existence of Spider-Man, have flirted with when Gwen Stacy died, where he went in the comics, he went to a dark place. When every time he went up against a Green Goblin and Harry Osborn as Green Goblin, it was a dark place. So I have to disagree based on the actual comic. The comic dictated what he was. He's not a grim and dark character, but the things that surround Spider-Man are not really kid stuff necessarily. They're not cartoonish. I'll say that. So yeah, I mean, so when you grow up with that, and then you see, but once again, I knew Spider-Man and his amazing friends. When I grew up, I did not refer to that as anything going forward as an adult or as a young adult or a teenager. That was in my kids, closet, and that's where it stayed. I can refer to it as a cool memory as a kid. Those Saturday mornings were fun, but my expectations for Spider-Man come from an adult point of view. I am not a child anymore, and that's what I mean. All right. Let's see. Oh wow, we're way down. Oh, let's see, Clint. At least you're flying again. Yeah, but I hope they don't use that version. I really, be honest with you, Secret Wars in general lends itself to a lot of tentacles that really just. It is what it is. The major crossover thing in the mid 80s, that's what they did. You had Crisis with DC and you had Secret Wars. And then in 2015, I thought the 2015 version, Hickman version, did damage to comics because it consolidated universes that I was really enjoying. And if you look at it now, they're back with Ultimate. Bam, we're real again. Yeah, they go through the full spectrum. But when you're making these for a younger audience, you can't go. The Hobgoblin in the cartoon is not going to be the Hobgoblin that you read in a comic. A homicidal maniac that rolled into the Rose's office and hung his staff from ceiling fans by their neckties. That ain't happening in the baby food cartoons. It's not happening.
Yeah, we got a super chat here. Why not the cast the first class X-Men Every Age?
Money.
No. I think he's talking about like in the context of the movies. Like it goes from like 62 to like 92, and they all look pretty much the same.
Oh, I don't know. I never really thought about that. To be honest with you, and I like X-Men First Class, so that's a very good question. Thank you for the support. I have no answer for you. Actually, sorry.
No, okay, because again, First Class, First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. They take place over the course of 62 to 92. Yeah.
I try not to remember Dark Phoenix. That was a horrible movie.
Yeah.
I wish Adult William had killed William. But listen, I'm a kid at heart, guys. I'm a goofball that wears superhero shirts and hangs around comic book stuff all day and watches wrestling 24/7. I also have to understand the context that what I am now is not a 8-year-old kid. You know, what an adult desires from a story, it evolves as you grow into, you know, yeah, you can watch some of this stuff, Ed, but like I said, if I were going to present to you a story of a modern superhero, I'm not using something from my childhood. That's disrespectful. You know, these heroes exist in the world that they're in now. And I am adamantly against refining a character to make it suitable for kids. When I rolled into the comic book store, I read Dark Knight at 12 years old. Nobody had to spoon feed that to me. You know, I mean, I think it's abhorrent to alter a character in order to make it suitable for an audience that those characters, especially those modern versions, were never meant to be in front of. We aren't the kids from the 30s and 40s that were seeing all kinds of really awful things just walking to school into the corner store. We're not, you know, the kids of the day. It's a different situation. So I am more of a fan. If you're going to make a character, you know, for a certain age group, then make an entirely new character, and that's what you do. But if you're coming into Batman, I have no problem, you know, with starting you with Frank Miller at any point in your life. I'll get your parents' permission because, like I said, I don't want you, if your parents doesn't want to see Karen Page or something like that on heroin and in porn films, that's understandable. But at the same time, I would rather steer you somewhere else than alter a character that was never meant for certain audiences. I would be like a G-rated Art the Clown. All right. Was Art the Clown meant for kids? No. You saying I'm going to be extreme? No. It's the same thing. That's an extreme example. But once you start changing the DNA of a character, you turn them into something else that's not recognizable. And then you try to carry that influence on. No kill rule. No, Batman's not that brooding and violent. Like what? Joker's the love Mark Hamill. That's part of my childhood too, Luke Skywalker. But that Joker, compared to some of the shit the Joker did just in the 80s alone, you had to get permission slips to buy some of the stuff that he was in. That man is not for kids. All right, so yeah, adult William, kid William experienced all the same stuff like that. But I grew up. That's what happened. Like I said, I don't need Flintstones vitamins anymore. I take grown man's vitamins. It's just, you grow up, you know? Yeah, and this time he's in there not replacing anybody because, like I said, I would have done it. I'd have been over to the neighbor's kid. Hey, let's play Fantastic Four. Nah, I don't. He's not a good. That was a good gag, but that's not a good idea. Preacher series. As a series that was a really good series, and it comes from a really good Garth Ennis when he's on top of his game is one of the best that do it. I don't know what Tom Hardy is. Tom Hardy playing? Is he Venom? I don't. He may be in there. I would see Venom. If they're going to do anything with Tom Hardy, I would see that in Secret Wars later on because I do think they're going to do something with the black costume. Let's see. You might, like I said, I wouldn't doubt it. They own them. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe button, guys.
It's interesting. Well, going back to I was muted there for a second. The Tom Hardy one. Yeah, I think he might be referring to he's got a movie coming up on Netflix called Havoc.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant
yeah, Havoc from the director of something.
Oh my God,
and then
dude, seriously, I believe this too. I believe this.
Yeah.
This is,
yeah, director of the Raid, guys. But what was the other point I made? So also kind of going back to the Fantastic Four's role, one thing they had talked about that they had considered doing for Deadpool and Wolverine, they thought about actually bringing back the cast of 2015 Fantastic Four, as the discarded wasteland of characters, and their universes were pruned. So, God, imagine if they did something like that, because I mean, nobody.
I fully expect it.
You think like Michael B. Jordan and like that iteration of Fantastic, because they're not
for like a minute. For like a minute, I mean,
he would probably be the one with the most prominence because he's become a big star. But
all Miles Teller's a bigger star.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah,
Miles Teller's a huge star.
After Top Gun Maverick, yeah, and that movie's horrible.
But yeah, it's not the worst.
That movie is pretty bad.
I can pretty much, I would bet on Avengers that he's an Avenger. I would, you're talking about, I thought you meant Doomsday. No,
Doomsday.
There'd be some serious copyright infringement. Who wants to get sued?
Yeah. No, this was floating around a lot today, where like people because how long this castless is, people were saying like, I saw like memes like Homer Simpson is in Doomsday, or like Barack Obama is in Doomsday.
I saw the chairs. I kept seeing chairs of people, and as J. Scott Campbell did his on, so that's kind of cool. You could see that happening. I could see him fighting. I could see him fighting him and taking everybody's powers.
Aaron's definitely not. Evelyn's definitely
probably.
Not. Well, she's not going to remember she was in it probably, because she's kind of infamous for that, where she she's interviewed like, hey, what was the experience like of like doing like Iron Man 3 or her appearance in it? It's like, oh, wait a minute, I did that Marvel movie, right? Or I had that cameo in Spider-Man Homecoming. It's like, right, I did do that. So she's a little bit notorious for like making like outside like the main Iron Man franchise, like making appearances in MCU movies, just plumb forgetting about them.
I don't know, Mighty Wax. I would love to see Beta Ray Bill. I would have loved to see Beta Ray Bill in any of the 4 Thor movies I saw. That could have saved any of those miserable movies for me, because I don't like the Thor movies. And I think the third Thor movie was because they were trying to do Walt Simonson's, in my opinion, Walt Simonson's run, and Walt Simonson created Beta Ray Bill. I don't know why he has not appeared yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we also know one other casting. This has been confirmed in the chat tonight. One other casting announcement for Doomsday. William Shatner is going to be in the movie.
Sorry if I don't laugh. That just wasn't funny, Droga. Sorry.
Well, Aaron's definitely not a fan of the Fan 4-stick comeback idea.
They'll probably be that they're relevant though, so I wouldn't.
Like, I'm trying. Like, is there anybody?
It doesn't matter if people like it. It just matters if it's relevant.
Yeah, that's our word. Is there anybody you think is like absolutely off the table? Like, do you think like the Matt Salinger, Captain America, or
no.
Or like who else is? Like
I wouldn't be surprised if they used the Corman version just as a gag.
Oh my God!
I would be nothing would surprise me.
Could they do that legally?
Yeah, they're Marvel Comics. They can,
but they still they have the rights to, because that's again there's a whole like that movie's never meant to be released, but I mean it's but they have the rights. They just never released it. Okay.
Yeah, because it'd be horrible. That you want to see something that's horrible for the brand. But no, they the only reason why those movies were being made was to maintain rights. But Marvel owns Fantastic Four, so they can show that movie
if they do, probably what they'll do with that is they'll probably just like work in like archive footage from like a few of some of these like lesser liked ones, or they'll probably like work in archive like I think of like the Corman Fantastic Four. They'll have like that one scene where his arm stretches and it's like on, it's like paper mache like on like a broomstick reaching out for something.
Lou Ferrigno would be cool. He's still in shape too.
Oh yeah. That now that I think about it, that would be pretty awesome. Like his Hulk appeared.
And Nick Fury, yeah.
Yeah.
David Hasselhoff, man. I don't think we're gonna see that.
Yeah, probably not that one. I thought of another one I thought of too. I think this is actually a very underrated pre-MC one. Is the Ang Lee Hulk? Like, what if we see him again? Especially because Incredible Hulk began initially as a sequel to that, and you can look at. I mean, it's eventually severed ties with it, but you can see like there is some, with the idea of like him hiding out in South America, there is like some of that connective tissue carried over. It's like, okay, you could see how this could have been a sequel to the Ang Lee Hulk.
The reason why I think you'll never see that is because they've done everything to forget that movie. They've done everything, good or bad, whether you agree with it or not. They've done everything possible to make it like if that movie never existed. And I don't think. And there's no alternate version of him. That's the version you're basically talking about. The version of the Hulk. You wouldn't be. They've shown you the version. I don't think they think fondly of those earlier ones.
I think that one's very good. I get why people.
It's just not very good. It's just not good.
That's one I get why people are kind of 50-50 on the Ang Lee Hulk, because it is a very
it's that high.
I've always sort of likened it to, it's like kind of like Marvel's equivalent, like Batman Returns, where it's in terms of like the reputation.
It's as boring. It's just so paced and boring. Yeah.
Do we need to do watch party of that? So
I don't. Okay, we can do a watch party if I need sleep and I can't get to sleep, and I get tired of counting sheep. We can watch Ang Lee's Hulk, or we can watch Batman. Dude, I didn't say we're doing like this Saturday. I just like pencil it in for like. No, we need to do it at night. Like I said, when I'm struggling to sleep and I need something.
Droga. Spike TV Blade. Yeah, well, I get Droga. As we all know, there's only one Blade. There's only going to be one Blade.
Well, you guys you saying that, and you brought up somebody else who played Blade, so that's kind of.
Well, I've seen a few episodes of that show. Like, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It just wasn't very. I think it was very memorable. It wasn't.
You got to be very careful with Blade. You have to write him, and like I said, you can't do 1998 Blade as a basis for anything other than a spoof like you did in Deadpool Wolverine, or as a cameo of him dying. I don't think that movie ages well. It's fun, the original one. I don't even rewatch the second two, the 2 or 3. But the original one is fun to watch, but under no circumstances could you take anything from that movie and try to pull 2025. Storytelling is so different now. John, you're one of your favorite. John Wick alone. There are certain movies that have changed the way audience perceive these type of movies, and it's got to be on that level. You can't do some 1998 stuff. That's why I'm saying when I always laugh at the Wesley Snipes Blade, because there's no way in fuck he's going to be your Blade going forward, other than dying. They're not going to do a 60-year-old man who's sort of in shape, but not the kind of shape you need. Mahershala Ali at 51 is in better shape than Wesley Snipes has been in the last 15 or 20 years. He's a better actor. Sorry, Wesley. He's a better actor, so he's going to bring that to the game, and you're probably going to do it like a ballerina or John Wick type of thing, but vampire style. And we didn't have that type of storytelling back in the 90s, so it's
I saw that chair too. I saw that, and I saw a chair for Release the Ayer cut. Because people were having a ball with
I got tired of it real quick. I'm like, everybody has a chair now. I'm like, that didn't take you guys long.
I mean, come on. I'm waiting for the one I'm waiting for is like hearing that Tommy Wiseau is going to be in Avengers Doomsday.
Oh, jeez. He doesn't even want to be in his own stuff.
Well, he keeps like after he keeps offering, like after every time they reboot Fantastic Four, he says, "Let me do it." It's like, I'll do the I'll finally get Fantastic Four right. Like, give it to the room guy.
No, I don't want that guy near a camera ever again.
You're tearing me apart, Dr. Doom.
Nah, I think they're gonna. I got a feeling that they're gonna get this right. I think Fantastic Four is gonna be a transformational film.
Julian McMahon as the OG Dr. Doom. Yeah, maybe. Nah. Oh, I thought of another one. The Silver Surfer.
These characters have to be recognizable as a character.
I thought about the Silver Surfer from Rise of Silver Surfer.
No,
you don't think so?
No, because that conflicts with the story that they're telling. There's no reason to bring him in there, because you're eventually going to get to a Silver Surfer, and there's a Silver Surfer in this movie, and that's not. I don't think they're telling that. There's no reason to bring that Silver Surfer in there. The next time you see Silver Surfer after you see this one, that's probably not going to exist after this movie, after that universe is eaten up, is going to be the actual proper Silver Surfer that you see in that comic book, and it'll be Norm Nat.
Captain Chris. That's the other company, obviously, and
not without a lawsuit.
Yeah. And it's like, guys, I'm trying to hold back on this topic for the discussion of just like Marvel this evening. So
I'm really trying to keep my mind open. I don't get where you guys are getting Avengers versus X-Men. It's you see all these people on the screen. Am I missing? I know I saw the fan stuff, but why? Where are we getting this? Because it to me, it doesn't make any sense. Because these aren't even going to be, X-Men going forward. I don't see, he doesn't. I don't get it. Did send me.
we've also got some new casting news. William, you're in this movie apparently.
No, I think he's trying to answer.
Okay.
He's trying to answer a question. This cast doesn't tell me. It tells me that there are X-Men there, but that doesn't mean that they're aligned against Dr. Doom. There's nothing on this screen that tells me. Like I said, if I'm missing something, send me the link. Put the link in the chat. If I'm missing something like legit, not a theory. If it's a theory, that's okay. But I don't see where even the theory is coming from. So I'm just trying to open my mind and try to wrap it around. Why has that even come up? Because there's so much on the screen, that you could use, and it doesn't. Given how we'd have to know how Fantastic Four ends before we figure who Dr. Doom is going to manipulate. I mean, just because there's X-Men casted, yeah, they're part of these universes that are going to get destroyed and consolidated, and for you to create the sacred timeline, some of these characters are. So I don't get the Avengers versus X-Men thing. I just don't. That's not even a story that I think they would tell for another 6 or 7 years. You'd actually have to establish X-Men, but these are just leftovers. Am I missing something? Do you see anything that other than rumors and fanfare? I mean, actual.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is kind of predicated on it's like there's Avengers and X-Men in the movie.
Yeah, I don't see it, guys.
It's pretty much what Vince is saying. So I don't think it's actually they're just saying that could with the cast.
Oh, didn't that? I guess that's fair enough.
Oh,
but
here's a good one.
I don't see it.
Here's a good one that made a comeback here. My lost phone. It's gonna be. We're gonna hear all kind about this next year. It's like Williams' chair, my phone, like Williams' pants, or like what are the other ones? Williams' fly. Yeah. Every one of these like burners is gonna be in Doomsday.
Captain Charisma. I don't even see them loosely. 100% could be wrong. I don't see them doing a loose adaptation of Avengers versus X. It doesn't make any sense. It's a side story when they have the story. He doesn't really need. The only people that Dr. Doom would need to pit against anybody would be the people from other universes. But you have other people from other universes that could be. I mean, I don't see it just based on this picture, but could be wrong. Could be wrong. There is, 100%. You're not going to find a bigger person in agreement with you here. I think the genre that we are speaking of right now is only here because the original X-Men was a success. Not the best of all comic book movies. Stay away from it. Stay out of my messages. But it is the most important. So I agree with you there. But I don't know if that means Avengers versus X-Men. Because there are other people from other universes that they can use. They could use, but what I think it's going to be, you could also use villains. You could also use people that, they could introduce people from other universes that we haven't seen in the MCU yet, or Fox movie, or a Sony movie, but they still exist alongside of us. There's a lot of strands in that universe that Loki's holding, so it could be anybody. Yeah, I guess with the cast, it's possible. It's possible, but this isn't even the whole cast. This is like, unfortunately,
here's a good one. Yeah, where is Nick Fury in all this?
Oh, he's definitely that's a given. That's a given. Although I think that this is the last of his Nick Fury, though.
Yeah, I'd imagine. And Sam Jackson ain't getting any younger.
And Sam Jackson is 75, 76. And plus, it's time. It's time for a new Nick Fury.
Yeah, come on, give David Hasselhoff the chance he never got. I ain't gonna happen either, guys.
My patience with them are running thin. Eventually, I'll get to the point where they just won't show up anymore. You might see Agents of Shield. Like I said, I don't think anything's off the table. Because we're saying goodbye to everything. Because it's not. I think the reason why you could have all these things there is because they're not going any further than Secret Wars. So you're not really connecting yourself. If you bring in a silly character here, old character here, you're not tethered to it. Going after Secret Wars. So it's like a party with people you're never going to see again. Do whatever you want, What do you think? I think it's kind of absurd. It's annoying because I hate the character in general, and I hate that version of the character because I think he was purposely trying to play him over the top and goofy. So no. So yeah, I could do if he wasn't in the movie, I would be just fine. They can use other characters, but Box has the biggest characters and the biggest influence film-wise, so they could probably get into clear. Yeah, they could. Fox does have the biggest library, but at the same time, they could still manipulate other characters into doing Doom's bidding. Like I said, you could have a group of characters that we don't know about yet that technically exists because there's all these strands, all these universes. We're only thinking about the ones we've seen and the ones we've seen in previous movies. But they could clearly bring up, dude. You watch what's that? What's the I can't it's a comic book with all the alternate versions of the characters that keep bouncing from one time to another. With Blink, another character I would really like to see done well. You got you in the chat. You remind me of what it is, but you could have characters from them that you have. You could have Warlock. There's so many characters that they haven't used that could exist in another universe, or that you can see for the very first time. I don't think this movie is going to be easy to telegraph. I don't think this movie is going to be easy to figure out, other than it being leaked and when that happens. So. Why? Okay, guys. Why is this such a surprise? I can't stand the characters. He's lame. And I can't reading him because they add all the Cajun stuff into his writing, and it's so bad. I'm like, ugh. You could see her. Anna Paquin's still around. A portion of Avengers worship Doom as Tony resurrected. That's a stretch, but it could happen. I think Demolition Man. I don't think Demolition Man's going to be in here either. Like I said, I think the most Wesley Snipes you'll see is him fighting to the death and being killed by one of Doom's henchmen. I think you're going to see characters like that. Like you're going to see his Blade. You're going to see Wolverine. You're going to see the X-Men. You're going to see, you could see Fantastic Four from that Earth. You could see a Fantastic Four from an Earth we've never even touched. Hell, you could have John Krasinski in there as Mr. Fan. You could have all the Mr. Fantastics talking to each other, trying to figure something out, and then only one that lives is going to be the one that we carry on with. This movie, it's going to be a clusterfuck, but that doesn't mean it won't necessarily be fun. It's just it hurts my head with all these characters. And this movie's going to be like 3 hours, 20 minutes minimum. You're going to have to pee during the middle of this movie. So, all right, guys, I think we've discussed it. If you want to send hate comments in the comments about me not liking, no, I don't hate cartoons. Stop spreading that shit.
Well, we all know. I mean, it's like just blame me. It's like blame Brad. It's like it's my fault. William doesn't like Gambit.
Stop. It's William's fault. I don't like it. It's
no, but that's the hashtag blame Brad is for. It's like whatever it is at any given time, it's always my fault.
Yeah. Hashtag William doesn't hate cartoons. William is just a grown man who wants a grown man story with characters that were meant for kids in the 30s and 40s but not the softcore generation, the comics code generation, to where, we had to spend the entirety of the 80s rehabilitating Batman from Surfer Batman and go-go dancing Batman, all that stuff. Thank you, Frank Miller, by the way. Thank you, Frank Miller, for Daredevil and rehabilitating Batman.
Oh yeah, definitely was, Aaron.
So, I don't, maybe, but like I said, these versions of them, depending on what versions they bring, they may not be the ones we saw from No Way Home, because even those characters have alternate versions of them, so we don't know. Like I said, I want to be surprised. I hope it's going to be hard for me given what I do, but these comic book movies that come out, I'm going to be like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming. But I know it's going to be nearly impossible because people make their lives out of leaking stuff and set photos and everything else. I am not going to do set photos for any of these movies. Not going to do it. When they present stuff that they want us to see, that's when we'll talk about it. When they present a trailer for these movies, that's when we'll talk about it. When there's interviews, that's when we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to do the whole breaking down and zooming in on is somebody's dog on the set, and does that mean that person's dead? No, come on. All right, that's silly. Let's not do that. Let's just have fun. And like I said, this movie looks like an absolute clusterfuck, but doesn't mean it's not going to be fun. It doesn't mean, it's not going to be fun, because it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. And like I said, you guys who grew up with some of these characters get to say goodbye to these characters. And I'm not saying they're all going to get gutted and killed. They may just fade away. Kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine. You didn't see everybody die, but you knew that universe got eaten up. So you're all right, just have fun. Punisher becomes war. What about Ben Affleck news? I don't feel like doing it. Charisma, sorry.
We'll probably talk about that because okay.
If we can avoid it.
I did. Well, I guess I don't know. I kind of made I made a kind of a promise to myself when we were talking about like all the Doomsday casting announcements tonight. We were going to kind of keep it strictly on that tonight, so I could go into kind of my thoughts on that tomorrow. I think it's and kind of like as a lot of this pertains to like probably what a lot of people are thinking also with the other company, but I wanted to keep it strictly on this tonight, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep my promise to myself.
I'm gonna do my best as a host to avoid that like syphilis. I just don't. It's not news to me. I will say I hate how people think that all cartoons are for kids. My mom does that when she's talking to somebody about Rick and Morty. No, Rick and Morty.
Beavis were for kids.
Rick and Morty's kind of deep. But anyway, to that, Vince, I understand what you're saying, and I just want to make sure people don't think that's no. There are cartoons that are for just shit. Most modern cartoons are not for just kids. Mostly adults are watching them. What I am saying though is the ones that spawned this generation of people that are part of our comic book movie environment. Those were made for kids. They could not make. They had to refine the characters or otherwise they would have never been able to put them on kids TV. They literally have the word kids next to them, like Fox Kids and things like that. So you had to take away the edge that made the X-Men what they were. And if you don't realize that there's a difference between the edge of that Chris Claremont spent 20 some odd years giving those characters, if you don't realize and understand that more than likely means that you only experience the X-Men through that and not through the characters that they're actually based on. That's okay. The fact that these things exist is not the end of the world for me. Their influence. Things that influenced me as a child are not necessarily the framework for what, going forward as an adult and grown man. And if, like I said, when you transform characters to make them suitable for an audience like that, that's not good. The characters are what they are, period. So yeah, but we're not even in that generation. That was mainly the 90s. Because to be honest with you, from the 2000s up, the cartoons that these companies have put out are not for kids. They're not for kids. And then a lot of cartoons in general are very bleak, very violent. Anime is violent, depending on what you're reading, or what you're watching. So no, when I say that, I'm almost entirely and exclusively talking about the 90s softcore. That's what I'm talking about. Because obviously the Killing Joke is a cartoon now. and they go as far with that as they could. You look at X-Men 97, as much as I can stand to, it's a more harder edge version of something. So this era, the modern era of cartoon is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the softcore stuff from the 90s and how people try to use that to justify framing these characters and implementing these characters. And some studios try to, dip their finger into that. Well, maybe we should. No, you shouldn't. If I ever hear you think, well, we should make the Joker, I lose my ability to speak when I hear people who I love and respect saying Jokers in the movies should reflect Jokers from animated series. Because Joker's an awful, violent, visceral person who does stuff. He does not imply like he can in a cartoon. He does shit. All right. He cuts people up. He does awful things to people. He kills people in horrific ways. He burns them to the bone with acid. He electrocutes people till there's nothing but a smoking husk of their body. That's not something a 90s cartoon could ever portray. So I say no to that. That's how I feel. Joker's a pretty good person. Yeah, he's a great. Ask Barbara Gordon in Killing Joke. What an awesome house guest he is. Yeah, I'll freely admit this. You know what? The wrestling that I grew up with in the 80s, I wouldn't be able to watch it today. 8, 9, 10-year-old William watching the WWF and NWA in the 80s, it wouldn't hold muster today. I would turn it off in 5 minutes. Now I'll watch some classic matches, obviously, but as far as like on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, I can't do it. It was cool when I was a kid, but I need New Japan. I need Ring of Honor. I need the violence. I need the go. I need what wrestling is today. What wrestling did for me as a kid, just doesn't do it anymore. And I feel the same way about these other things. But here's the thing: they never tried to really change wrestling. Every time that they've tried to change wrestling into something suitable for families, the audience goes down. So even pro wrestling knows better. Joker and Absolute Batman is different and he's creepy. That whole turning back into the Joker and going from white to his disease that he has, and then this him sitting there with all the midgets or babies. I don't even want to know what those are, but I'm going to find out next episode. You told me this before. I one of these days, even if I don't play Arkham games, I'm going to do the run through of the video. I'll do that because I did that with Gotham Knight, and because I just don't have the bandwidth to play these games. Let's see. All right, Braden, you are new, so I have explained this a lot, but I will explain it again. I kind of gave it. I don't get why you hate X-Men animated series. I loathe X-Men animated series. This is stronger word than hate. There's a reason that series is so iconic. It's because it's Braden. This is me forcing the vomit down to whence it came. It's because it's the only. Braden, are you trolling me? Are you trolling me? I know we've had plenty of examples of me being trolled. You have to be trolling. You can't be serious about this. There have been other great adaptations of X-Men. That cartoon wasn't one of them, in my opinion. Chris, you cannot say great adaptations without the run of Chris Claremont, which a lot of these characters were stripped down and turned into baby food from. So, yeah, no. I went from reading the Mutant Massacre. Within 5 years, I went from the Mutant Massacre to whatever that was in the 90s on my TV. I'm sorry if it's a shock to my system. I think you're trolling me, though. And if you are trolling me, Braden, Congratulations. That's a good troll. That's a good troll. I'm looking for the response to you telling me you're trolling me. Yeah, he's got little babies or midgets. I hope they're midgets. That picture was very disturbing. Let's see. I was watching the top 10 moments in WWF, and one of them was a 500-pound man atop a ring getting flipped and the ring exploding. I mean, like I said, it's cartoonish and it's fun to look back on, but in no way, shape, and form would I want the modern promoters of wrestling to ever use that as an inspiration. It had its time and place, and it's just not, you just can't do that anymore. People love the X-Men animated series. It's one of the most popular things in the 90s. Highly doubt he's trolling you. Yeah, but when you say that's the only, yeah, no, I can't. I'm gonna tell myself in my head that you're trolling me, Braden. And it being popular, that's fine. I'm glad you all love it. But to me, by the time I saw that, I wasn't a grown man. I was still a teenager. And I wasn't too old to watch cartoons. I watched the damn Power Rangers. But I just can't. Like I said, I would no. There's just so many things I would rather do than to watch that again. I'm glad you all enjoyed it, but I can't even. Like I said, I get to the disgust where I can't even form words and sentences anymore. Let's see. Yeah, it was the airplane back. So every time you guys bring up something that just makes me have to force it down. Like I said, if you love the X-Men animated series, but no. I call it softcore for a reason because that's what it is. Usually wrestling goes to more adult sports because the fans. Yeah, but in the 80s, you couldn't get it on TV without being crazy. You weren't allowed to have blood on TV back in the 80s. I remember one time Ron Bass went out after Brutus Beefcake and he cut him open with a spur and they blurred it out. Now you watch AEW, Jon Moxley bleeds every other show. I mean, the violence, dude, Darby Allin alone, the things that he puts his body through makes up for like half of the violence that ever took place in the 80s. So yeah, it's a different world. And like I said, I can watch those matches in reference, but not as an expectation going forward. So Braden, I'm gonna have to disagree with you as far as that being the greatest adaptation of X-Men. I wouldn't, if there's 1,000, I would have to add 1,001 to put it on the outside of that 1,000. That's where I'm at with it. Sorry. It's difference of opinion. That's all it is. Depends. 1988 through 1992 was a good era when WCW was just breaking away from the NWA. You could also watch the NWA stuff from 1986 to 1988. That's actually some of the greatest wrestling history of all time. That's Ric Flair at his zenith. Just Ric Flair's speeches on every Saturday night were worth the time alone. So yeah. Oh man, Drayden, you're gonna give me nightmares with that comment. That's what it's gonna do. Oh my goodness, I can't believe you typed this. I'm gonna have to bring you on the show and see if you can say this with a straight face. No, there are other great. The X-Men movie, the most important movie. Magneto. To me, they nailed Magneto. Now they did some things in the X-Men movie I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I've seen some really good adaptations of the X-Men, but to be honest with you, even the movies that I like from Fox aren't the greatest. I'm still waiting for that. Because in order to be the greatest adaptation of X-Men, you have to be true to the inspiration of it. It doesn't have to be the exact, but there are things that were happening in the mutants that I want to see somebody take the X-Men story and parallel what we're going through today. because that's what made what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and all those guys did in the 60s. We were going through the civil rights era, and what Mutant Kind was going through was their avatar to tell that story. So I want them, whoever does X-Men in 2026, 27, or 30, whenever it comes out, I want them to take a really hard look around the world and see what people are going through, because that's what makes those stories compelling, when you can put yourself in the shoes of the other. So I'm looking at, I haven't seen the greatest adaptation yet. I hope I've seen some really good ones. I've seen some worthy ones, but I think the best adaptation of X-Men is here to come. Yeah, I think you're going to see her. I don't think they blame the character on that show being bad. I just, yeah. All right, but that's just me and my optics of having a strong opinion like that. That's fine. Like I said, these are all opinions. Oh, hold on. I think you come off as an asshole when you read people's opinions like that. No. That's my opinion. I allow for others' opinions to be on this platform. They're there. Let's see. All right. I think we've. Is there anything left? You got anything left to go with, Brad?
I don't think so.
I think we've covered Avengers. I think we've covered potential Avengers, potential characters in here. That's it. It's almost a 2-hour show, so I guess that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Let's see. I think trying to do some big actors. Tiger, Spider-Man. All right. Tomorrow is what, Thursday?
Yep.
Are you going to see Working Man tomorrow?
Not tomorrow. No, I'm gonna go see it Friday night at the, because again I just can't get out to Thursday night shows like I used to these days. So a lot of it's also again, dojo. I'm in there 3 to 9 Monday through Thursday, and then my theater they just don't do like shows like just as late as they used to on the Thursday nights, and like even for this one, the latest show they have for it tomorrow is like at 6:45. So, I mean, and it's just been like the post-COVID reality.
I don't know when I'm going to get. I want to see this movie. I just don't know when I'm going to get.
And I'm here. They're great. There's a lot of great reactions to it. Like a lot of people are saying, like, "Oh, if you love The Beekeeper, you're going to love this."
I saw somebody say it wasn't as good as The Beekeeper. I'll have to determine that on my own.
Well, you even kind of said like this really is kind of like The Beekeeper.
It's probably It looks like it. I mean,
it's The Beekeeper, but he's a construction worker now.
Yeah, it's a beekeeper without bees. So,
yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to be it. See you tomorrow in some form or fashion. Remember, I'll make the event Saturday. We have Batman versus Superman, and that's strictly to raise money for American Foundation Suicide Prevention. And hope we get closer to our goal, because we did not.
We had a great turnout, but I mean, you move the needle on the donations, unfortunately.
All right, I think that's it. I'll see you tomorrow. Let me get my right thing on here, because StreamYard messed up everything. All right, guys, have a good Thursday. We'll see you on the other end of it.
See you guys.